the start of the news review, though, and Sweetie Abachi will be telling us about our guest, former PURC.
Yes, Nana Jantswa, and she'll be joining us shortly.
I heard you pronounce the name earlier, and I wanted to hear you do it again. It sounded nice.
Benjamin.
I think she also likes the Achapim.
Achapim, yeah.
Nana ya Achapim.
Jantwa.
Yeah. If she were here, I'd make a bit of fun with her.
Right.
But before we have her come in, I just want to talk about a news item you actually read this morning. You know, the parliamentary candidate, is that Memphis East?
Yeah. Words taken out of context, that issue?
Hey! No, I have to ask, are we sane in this country? A parliamentary candidate. Yeah. So when people talk about, oh, those in power, those who walk the corridors of power, are complicit when it comes to Ga Mantse, then you have a parliamentary candidate of the ruling administration come and say something like this. And you, Ga Mantse, as if officers, the security beats them up. And this person will still be able to stand.
Yes. The laws don't apply to those in power, Benjamin. It's time we remind ourselves that the law only applies to ordinary citizens. Once you have some sort of political
but
power,
you see,
you can get away with anything if you know how to play your cards right.
This nonsense must stop. This morning, this nonsense must stop. Just like some DCE shared money and was talking, the OSP has been on that case, it's amounted to practically nothing. And had the audacity to make mention of the fact that he had doled out these sums of money to people and they should give him back his money. Nothing has happened. You see, I'm making this point forcefully this morning because if we continue like this, that whole dream about, oh, Ghana will be better, oh, corruption will be, it's a pipe dream. White elephant, when pigs fly, it will not happen. If we can't be fair on such instances and say, you belong to my party, but you've done the wrong thing, you must face the law. This person, if this person contests, then I don't know where this country is going.
I think my submission is to the people. They shouldn't listen to these political players. They're practically gambling with your life. Imagine an encounter with military personnel. They will shoot you, they will beat you, they would just end you. And for what? Because some parliamentary candidate or member of parliament says that you should actually beat them up if they try to obstruct illegal activities. So, well, if you're part of those who are listening to this man, please value your life. Because nothing should make you want to stand off against a military personnel simply because you are involved in an illegal activity, which you know the laws originally are not in your favor. But this is where we found ourselves, Benjamin. And
I mean, I was horrified when some of these things come up. I always, at the back of my mind, I am hoping that it wasn't so. And then the explanation comes through. I mean, when are we going to get tired of such instances? My own good friend, Professor Kingsley Nyako, had his issue in the last AGSO by-election. I felt really sad about that, but the explanation given, you know, these things happen, like the DCE, like Kingsley Nyako, like this guy, and then some wishy-washy explanation comes. It's as though we were idiots in this country, and everything could be written off with some basic, it's becoming...
But they were captured on tape. All of these people, all of these issues you just raised were all captured on tape, and somehow they are able to deny it. Sometimes it's funny because I don't know what it would take for us to actually start prosecuting people in power. Benjamin, how far with the Ledapa case? How far with Brian Champon and the sale of Snates Hotels? How far with anything really? Corruption related, money laundering related?
I have an interesting one for you.
Activities related?
Do you know
that really been prosecuted in this country?
Well, the beachfront at the Labadi Beach Hotel, right?
Yeah.
You know the situation.
Yeah.
The the edifice there and everything in between, it actually doesn't, from what we know, belong to the Labadi Beach Hotel. Oh yeah, that's a story on its own, about its ownership, and even things that we didn't know that. I mean, when this whole SNIT thing came up, this country, the way it's going, and I keep saying, me, I don't care. I don't care whether it's NDC or MPP. I don't care which entity is in power. But the way it's going, maybe our children will not come and meet Ghana. There will be nothing left. In Numpenukra, boom. Down to the marrow. It's crazy.
Should we get into our papers?
Please, let's do.
Right, let me start with the Daily Guide newspaper. Ga Mantse calls for unity. Baumia storms NPP World Bank. These are just banner headlines. Isaac Osei joins running mate race. And Ghana, Brunei discuss Commonwealth bid. Quote, NPP won't rely on EC for victory. And then there's Shirley Ayoko Boche and Hassanal Bokia Ibni Umar Ali in a discussion in her bid to be the Secretary General of Commonwealth. Let's start with a story about Baumia storming the NPP World Bank. It's on page 3 of the Daily Guide. It reads, political activities in the ruling New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region, the party's stronghold, would be intensified starting today, Monday, June 10th, 2024. Now, the party's presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, is expected to stay in the region for 3 days in an intensive campaign. As part of his campaign tour, the NPP presidential candidate will take to the streets to engage the public with sole purpose of sharing his vision for the country with the ordinary Ghanaian. Also, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, who is noted for being a hard-working politician, will be meeting various organizations and business groups in the region to share his policies. And hopefully, maybe we see some announcement of who he's pairing with for the race come December 2024. And I like the title. Not that I like it, but it's curious. Baumia storms NPP World Bank. What do you think of it? So the Ashanti region now is the NPP's World Bank.
Well, it's always been the World Bank of the NPP. But you know, this is one of the elections that, as a student of politics, regardless of where we've come, I'm curious about. You know, whenever the NPP falls below, it gets a little under 70% or 70% thereabouts. If it doesn't push really hard, 75, 80%, it starts getting on the ropes because of the voting patterns in Ghana. So, and with some of the stories that have emanated from the Ashanti region, doomsday, bad roads, dissatisfaction with how the region has been treated. And I'm not saying this to say that maybe the NPP has been atrocious or outrageously bad in that region. After all, it's their own stronghold. But the complaints that have come, and this time, mind you, we've heard chiefs, prominent chiefs, lambast this government. You wouldn't have seen that in the past. So for me, it's a soft spot for them, but I want to see, come election 2024, what the voting patterns would be like, because you can even forget about the eastern and other regions. The north will be fought for. The northern belt will be fought for. Greater Accra is swing. Central region swing. All of these regions are going to be fought for. If the Ashanti region does just a percentage or 2 or 3 of damage to the NPP, it could spell doom. Because mind you, you also have the ARC Alan effect.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't like to conjecture much. Usually you want to see. But these are things that you can hypothetically forecast that, I mean, there's a lot of work that the NPP. In fact, the region is not theirs to win. It is theirs to lose. Not that they will lose in the votes, but any withdrawals, people not voting, apathy and all of that, could do them immense damage.
For me, it's a question of what are Ghanaians voting for? I must admit that I only really paid critical attention to our political dispensation and activities just a few years back.
Right.
And I've seen how bad the economic situation we find ourselves in. I've seen most Ghanaians coming out to say that the president and the vice president are not doing well. They made some promises. And so if they were able to pull the numbers from the Ashanti region, then what really are Ghanaians voting for? If you say that hardships and economic crisis and high cost of living are plaguing us, and you vote for the vice president who doesn't have the steer so that he gets the steering wheel and then do what differently? I really am curious.
You know,
It's
interesting.
I'm a student of politics, and I want to see how this really plays out. Are Ghanaians actually voting for a change or voting for development, or are we just voting because there's some? I heard some audios of someone say MPP na Abuakra nomade to NPP.
Yeah.
I'll vote for the person. So,
and the NDC too. There are people who say
so
that.
what are we voting for?
The point is, yes, you make a strong point. Just last week, we were hard on the cost of living. You're buying pepper now for how much? Pepper. I had to assist someone at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital yesterday, and I hadn't eaten the whole day. Got some fried yam. The pepper, I said, pepper, don't cry. We are rationing pepper because it's so expensive. Pepper. A crate of tomatoes that went for 1,500 cedis is going for 7,000 cedis, an increment of 5,500. It's mad. All of that is there. But at the same time, you have to give people their due.
Right.
Whatever they want to choose, however they want to vote. Look, if people say we want the vice president to become president, maybe you may think differently, someone else may think differently, I may think differently, But in the end, the generality of the people, what we vote for is what will apply, hopefully.
Hopefully.
And then we all stick and stay with the consequences or the benefits of same. So whether people in the Ashanti region will vote this way or that is really up to them. They are the same people who have complained about the cost of living, about this and that. So you remember the splashing of I'm trying to get the constituency. The former majority leader of the MPP, Osei Tutu. I'll just get the constituency in mind. His constituency, where some people pelted him with sachet water. I mean, he's done amazingly well there, but it's been a while as well. Things have not gone. I was thinking, saying, my director I think it may be Swami, all right? And everything else. So if you look at the picture, like I said, over the last few years, we've seen things that you wouldn't see in the Ashanti region, that people would not do.
Right.
A chief, prominent chief, and not one, railing against this administration. I've never seen that. But at the same time, like I said, people have the options. And whichever way they choose to go, once it is fairly being reflected, we must stick to it and move ahead, whether benefiting from it or facing the consequences. But mind you, I mentioned apathy.
Yes.
Some people will also show their disappointment because there are those who will tell you, I can't vote for any other party apart from the MPP. But since the MPP has disappointed me, then I will not vote at all. There are others who will say so on the other side as well. In the end, I'll go and express my view. You'll go and express your view. But it's the collective view of Ghanaians that will stand. And whichever way we choose, we damn the consequences and move on.
I want to see how all of this plays out. Just vote with intention. I mean, for whatever it's worth, have an intention behind who you're casting your ballot for. And if you don't vote, you'll be ruled by a president chosen by, for want of a better expression, or that's the actual expression, foolish people, you know.
Yeah, they say if the wise don't vote,
yes,
fools vote for them.
Anyway, so let's get into more stories in the Daily Guide newspaper. Police forward NDC PC docket to AG. Ga Mantse calls for unity. That story was in our bulletin this morning. Ghana, Brunei discuss Commonwealth bid. NPP won't rely on EC for victory. Isaac Osei joins running mates race. Any of these stories catch your attention, Ben? You want us to get into? Bank of Ghana.
No, you go ahead.
Bank of Ghana on price stability. Patapa no more my husband. Stoneboy sues Baba Sadiq for 3 million Ghana cedis. I wonder what that is about. And APN leads interoperability discussions. Let's talk about Bank of Ghana. This story is on page 9 of the Daily Guide newspaper. The Bank of Ghana has emphasized its commitment to its price stability mandate and the well-being of Ghanaians. Director of Communications at the Bank of Ghana, Bernard Otabil, disclosed this when he explained the cost incurred on the bank's open market operations, which contributed largely to its loss in the audited 2023 financial statement. The recently released annual report and financial statements of the bank indicated a cost of 8.3 billion Ghana cedis on open market operations, causing an overall loss of 10.5 billion Ghana cedis for the 2023 financial year. Now, according to Mr. Otabil, central banks worked for national welfare and not profits, and therefore the loss had nothing to do with the loss of policy effectiveness, adding that the central bank stood committed to deploy monetary policy tools to maintain a stable inflation in tandem with its primary price stability objective. Is it reflecting in our pockets? All these policy frameworks, this working on price stability, this pumping in money to stabilize our CD, all of it, is it really reflecting in our pockets, or does it just stay here in these newspapers and on statistics, Benjamin?
I'll throw that question back to you. How do you feel it?
I don't feel good.
So technically, and that's the thing, that's the difference between macro and microeconomics. Technically, there are some benefits. I mean, I've heard some people suggest that if it were not for the cushions that we were getting from the IMF and other bits that we are benefiting from, our CD, for example, could have been maybe 20 plus to some of the currencies that are. We are knocking on the door of 20 for the Great British Pound, by the way. But sometimes I look at it as well and say, are we celebrating mediocrity, or are we actually making the boons that we want to make? It's a convoluted situation, but for me, like you're asking, the ordinary kwesi, ama, ajwa, ya, kwabana, and the rest, right? What are the benefits you are seeing from these? Are you feeling the benefits in your pocket, in your day-to-day life? Those are the questions we ought to ask. You go to the market, and how much is pepper? How much are, some of these other bits? So, I don't know.
There was an argument that this man you interviewed, your last AM exclusive, please remind me.
Is it Peter McMahon?
Peter McMahon, the chairman of the New Patriotic Party.
Former chairman.
Yeah. And he was saying that on the international front, we are not doing bad at all. And he cited a number of things like Electoral Commission. It's the best he'd seen so far. I think, not him specifically, but someone else I heard talk about press freedom, talk about inflation, talk about even our leadership and government. And Ghana is not doing bad at all. So that brings to mind the question, are we the target audience of these political activities, these policy frameworks?
Or maybe the politicians are tickling themselves and laughing.
I think that their target is on the international front. They don't care about the individuals. They care about how they look outside the borders of the country. But let's bring in...
She's brought herself in.
Yes, she's brought herself in. So I'm
International. Good morning. Sorry for being late. Good morning. There's a lot of everything this morning.
You look very colorful. I like that.
You also look colorful.
Thank you.
They say good morning to your viewers. Good morning to everybody. They say, which international front is that? Which
all
front?
of it.
That's what?
So Ghana is not doing so bad.
In what terms?
Well, specifically, you said the EC is the best so far. We've moved from tot. Is that what he said? The time where you couldn't do this level elections in one day. You had to do it in badges.
What has that got to do with bread and butter? Yes, I went to a funeral. The CPP Koforidua, like Eastern Region women's organizer died, Naomi, etc. And I went for the funeral. When I was coming, I said, because of my busy schedule, let me do some shopping along the ridge. My dear, Kontomre, 320.
Where are you talking about?
I went to Koforidua, so as I was coming.
Koforidua?
Yes.
So even Koforidua, which is a bit...
I am telling you, as I was coming, even not in the Koforidua township itself, like on the ridge there, so coming down Manfe, Abri, we asked, Kontomre 3.
Wait, when you say 3,
like the bundle 3.
Bundle.
20 Ghana cedis.
3 for 20.
Yes, can you imagine?
5 cities also.
5 cities square is too expensive. Last year, how much was Kontomre?
But you go to market now and they are giving you 1 tomato for 5 cedis.
Yes. And you are talking about international.
But you know what
Utia, if you're lucky, they give you maybe...
We were rated, one of the best performing countries. These global or international rating agencies keep rating us, and I don't know how they get the figures, because I'm here in this country, and I'm wondering, are they real?
These same figures are sourced from Ghana some of our own records. Don't you forget that. And sometimes they do some additional work too. So what we feed them is what they end up.
Yes, they don't do their own research. They don't spend money to do their own research. What's international? Our elections in 2020 was announced 5 times. The election results are not gazetted. It is not on their website. How can you come and tell us that the EC is rated the best? Because maybe EC is doing their bidding. So if EC is doing their bidding, certainly in their eyes, EC will be rated.
But Nanaya, has the EC fared that badly in your books? I mean, there are those who would say that, to be fair, they may not, in my books, they may not be the best, but are they the worst?
Why do they always compare the current EC to Afarijan's EC? Everybody speaks and they are comparing the current EC to Afarijan. Afarijan was like one of the best in terms of all the problems.
Afarijan was celebrated globally, not just in Africa.
That's what I'm saying.
And he handled some immensely, events that would give you palpitations. And he oversaw elections being won by the MPP.
Yes, being won
by the NDC, the MPP,
and look at how,
and then the NDC. Yes. I mean, Afarijan is in a different league.
I will not forget about 2008, when there was a complete stalemate.
Yeah, I was just about to mention 2008.
Let's use time to determine who has won.
Yeah.
Do you get me? So Afarijan, surpasses all. And this is what is happening. You do elections, registration in the district offices. We are having issues. First day of registration, a lot of issues, network issues, logistical issues. How can you say that they are the best? They are doing their best, but you can't say that globally they have been adjudged one of the best. In what way? It's just that Ghanaians are very tolerant people.
Let's get into more stories from the newspaper.
I hear you.
And then we can come for your reaction. Failed coup plotters go on trial in DR Congo. That's a trial of 51 individuals, including 3 Americans, accused of attempting to overthrow the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo last month, has begun. The hearing is being broadcast live on national TV and radio in the capital, Kinshasa. Right. Ghana, Brunei discuss Commonwealth bid. Ghana's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Sheila Yoko-Botry, has met with the Sultan Brunei Hassan al-Bolkiah III to discuss ways to strengthen bilateral cooperation and renew the Commonwealth. The meeting took place in the Istana Nurul Iman Palace in Brunei's capital, Bandar Seri Begawan. Both the Sultan and Mrs. Botry expressed a firm commitment to enhancing cooperation across multiple sectors and reiterated their shared values and mutual interests. Because we're just talking about EC, let me quickly put this story in. NPP won't rely on EC for victory. The General Secretary of the ruling New Patriotic Party, Justin Kodua Frimpong, has stated that the party will not rely on the Electoral Commission or the police to secure victory in the upcoming elections. According to him, the NPP is confident that its systems established compelling campaign messages that will help the party to win the December 7 elections. Recently, the NDC flag bearer ex-President John Mahama accused the EC of colluding with the NPP to manipulate the 2024 elections. Do we have more reactions on that, or should I just finish this paper and then we can... I've done most of the headlines.
I've shared my reactions, so unless Nanaya...
But the point is that NPP is saying their messages. What about the current economic state? Their messages will win them their election. So the current economic
carefully crafted.
No, but the current economic state will do what for them? Why are they ignoring the current economic state in which we are? Where $1 to CD when you are buying is 16.85? Why?
Where a liter of fuel is inching towards 15. In fact, if you're buying, the accelerated, or is it the Run 95s and the V-Powers, you are hitting almost 16.
No, don't do liter. If you do liter, it's beautiful. Do gallon and get the real cost, because what goes into my car is the 4.5, which makes a gallon, and one is 68 cedis. In 2017, one was 14 cedis. How many years down the line? Look at the difference. Even that time, they said it was too expensive. Now, 68, they are not saying anything. They are ignoring the economic situation we find ourselves, and they are talking about their messages. Can you imagine this?
The dollar was what, 3.75?
3.75 to the CD, and now it's 16. Ding dong and up and down. You can't even plan.
Russia-Ukraine war.
What Russia-Ukraine? Even
COVID-19.
What COVID-19?
There are a number of factors that.
Sweetheart, if COVID-19 helped any country, it's Ghana. We got money out of COVID-19.
21 billion Ghana.
Yes, to support our budget.
21 billion.
To support our budget. So which COVID-19 is this?
Well. Then you find that. Then we'll come to you.
And if I may add,
yeah,
we're still being charged the COVID-19 levy. So
I don't understand that one.
Restaurant and buy what?
Is it only restaurants?
You have a law at all?
You are talking about restaurant. Go to just a shop to buy. You have a tall receipt of taxes.
Anyway, then you find a newspaper now. Ashanti Ga Unity elevated. Otumfuo donates 500,000 Ghana cedis during historic visit to Ga Mantse. NHIA scraps registration and renewal fees for SNIT contributors. President tout planting of 52 million trees in 4 years. Chamber of Mines warns of escalating costs in Ghana's gold production. Let's start from page 4. NHIA scraps registration and renewal fees. Excuse me. In a transformative move, the National Health Insurance Authority has announced the elimination of registration and renewal fees for National Health Insurance Scheme subscribers who are also contributors to the Social and National Insurance Trust. Chief Executive Officer Dr. Da Costa Boaji disclosed this during a recent interaction with media personnel. He said the integration of the NHIS with SNIT and NIA has enabled the scrapping of these charges, which have been seen as obstacles to enrolling on the NHIS. Dr. Da Costa Boaji explained that the fees constituted less schemes revenues, at less than 3% of the scheme's revenues, and the removal would not adversely affect the financial health of the NHIS. I must say that Dr. Da Costa Boaji has been in the news a lot recently on activities of the NHIA. There was the dialysis issue, the kidney issue, and then now scrapping registration and renewal fees for SNIT contributors. I don't know about you, but I think this is good.
I mean, I don't understand what it means.
It means that if you want to renew your...
So how much is it?
Well, it's less than 3% of what it makes.
No, I'm saying in actual terms. How much do I pay to renew?
I think it's 8 cedis for renewal. So yeah, the elimination of 8 Ghana cedis.
And how much is it?
Is expected to remove a financial burden from subscribers.
8 cedis. And how much is it?
Maybe you have 8 cedis. No, there are people in some villages because of 8 cedis.
Those in the villages, they are not on pension or on SNIT. Most of them are farmers, and we need to rake all of them in. We need to have an agricultural pension scheme for the farmers so that when they grow old, they can't go on the farm anymore. They have something to rely on. Besides, this pension thing, we should really look into it. It belongs to us. It doesn't belong to government. Going forward, we shouldn't allow government to even appoint the CEOs and the board members so they sit there and do what they like. Look at how they are going to sell the hotels. How are they investing our money? They should tell us this is not anything, 8 cedis and so what. People cannot buy
and these are proposals people have made.
Yes.
That, when it comes to, and I totally agree. I keep referencing what Dr. Arthur Kennedy, Kobina Arthur Kennedy said here. 2 things, that when he interacted with current President Akufo-Addo back then, the president had said, the Ghanaian presidency is too powerful. When I come, I want to da-da-da.
Yes.
Look at what he's doing now.
He's more
and some other bits about not wanting to handpick a leader. That's another affair, because as for the Dr. Bawumia issue, we'll leave that out. But all I am saying is we really, as a country, once you have one person who can make so many appointments, who has so much power, you know what the aphorism by Lord Acton says, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Sometimes it's not about the person being bad, but the person having too much access.
Yes.
And with that access, people come to you. Sometimes it's not, you see, bribery and corruption, they go 2 ways. Yeah. It's the receiver and the taker. Yeah. Sometimes it is the taker who will come to you. And you know what they say, opportunity makes the thief. And then these things happen. Until we do that and we have politically inclined people heading all of these institutions, we're going to face problems. Yeah. People had to scream recently before this 3rd person going to be a deputy at STC. People had to scream about this SNIT bill. I mean, at what point? And all these things tell you that if there was no scream, it would just go through, and that's it.
So keep screaming. Ghanaians, fellow Ghanaians, keep screaming. Let me rush through some quick headlines and then we go to the Ghanaian Times. Second Lady launches Africa Students for Climate Action Initiative. Members of Diplomatic Corps plant trees to mark Green Ghana Day. Something great is happening in Ghana's education system, according to Dr. Educhum. Bridging Digital Divide, Resilience of Satellite TV in the Age of Digital Media. On the back page, or the last page, Rosie Yeboah qualifies for Paris Olympics. Otuado justifies defensive strategy against Mali. Army ladies crowned champions of 2023-2024 Women's FA Cup. Azakas ladies beat Ampem Dakwa ladies to win 5th Premier League title. And Home Municipal Assembly to establish football club. These and many stories in the New Finder newspaper. Pick one for yourself and get into the stories. What paper do you have and what does it say?
You put the Ghanaian Times in front of me. I used to work there.
Okay.
The first page, it talks about Sustain Ghana Green Projects. The gains. President urges us. Then the Utu Senior East Constituency and DCPC granted bail over alleged gun possession without authority. We cannot
Should we get into that?
Yes, I mean, sad for me. I thought one of you speak on that, but for me, we need to encourage women. I mean, no matter what it is, we need to know how we deal with women. I don't know whether her license or her gun was licensed or not.
You're talking of Phyllis?
Yes.
Well, from what we've seen, apparently there was some technicality about the spelling of her name. But from the documentation we've seen, the licensing of the gun and the other details, matching her Ghana card details, the name is the same. And pump action gun, the claim is that she didn't even discharge the gun. Unlike in another instance, I don't want to mention names, where someone actually used the gun. You see, and that also keeps creating, I keep saying that let's not make this country, even our football has become NDC side, NPP side. And that is why we lost in 2014. We had one of the best teams in the World Cup. The only team that could draw with Germany, the eventual winners. Right? We've made everything political. It must be that, look, it doesn't matter who you are. Look at the US, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son. Look at what is going on.
Facing charges.
The law, it doesn't matter who the heck you are.
Even Trump, the almighty Trump.
It doesn't matter. You will go through. Now, Trump, first, American president to have been convicted for a felony.
33 charges.
They really don't care.
They don't care.
But here, everything must be viewed through political lenses. So this person stands here, so we can treat the person with kid gloves. Me, when I say it, I don't know, but I keep saying that the way we are going, we will make no headway. If anything, we will retrogress as a country.
Because we need to encourage women to be there. I saw the lady on TV. I was watching one of your sister stations, and she was visibly shaking. Yes, I commend the chairman, Nese Dunketia, for going there. But the lady was visibly shaking. And me, I've been there before. So when I see that, if you are not careful, you will no longer be strong. Even men get there and they come back and they are not strong anymore. So I think that we should try and minimize some of the things we do to our women. I remember when I was in PRC and I went through everything. My uncle has a friend, a minister in Burkina. He said that you don't treat women like that. And I will reiterate that you don't treat women like that. You need women to be part of the political dispensation. If another woman sees it, she will not go close. The husband will even tell her, don't go there. The family will tell her, don't go there. But it's possible this woman has the capacity, whoever it is, to also be part of the political dispensation.
Anaya, I agree with you, and I've said this many times. But again, I'll also reiterate, the law is the law.
No, but
the law, just saying that the law applies as it should apply. My problem is in Ghana, it is selective justice.
That is what I'm saying.
If the law applies fairly, it really doesn't matter whether you have done the wrong thing or I have erred. The law should be the law. But I do agree that in some instances, for example, the physical handling and other things of a woman, what you may do with a man, I don't think you can necessarily do with a woman. Those are the instances where I see
questions that you see if your gun is licensed.
That is.
And you even expend bullets, I don't know, but once it is licensed, it's not some gun that was taken from anywhere. The reason why these guns are licensed is because we would know who used it for what.
At the end of the year, you must account.
You must account
so
for.
you had maybe 10 rounds of ammunition.
Yes,
You have used
yes.
3 rounds. How did you use
How
them?
did you use
when
them?
did you? There's a log. You must
Yes.
actually follow processes.
Yeah. There's a friend of mine, a policeman, told me that my head is too hot. So if I'm not careful, I might expend it at a moment that I shouldn't. So the best thing is not to even take it at all.
Yeah.
But I always think that as a politician, you need, because nobody is protecting you. You go and come, you are in the middle of everybody. Nobody is protecting you. I was in Makola once.
That we're anticipating the violence.
No. You see, if you are attacked, I was in Makola one day, and one of my cousins works somewhere. I won't mention the name. She actually called me to leave. She said, Nana, as you are there right now, a mob of people who are like the MPP in there, let me say people who don't like you, are gathering to beat you up. So move out of that area right now. And for the first time, that was the first day I took my phone with me into the market. Because I want to be normal. I don't want to. And she said, move out of that place right now.
So something could have happened
Yes.
to you. And I mean, and why I asked, why did she even carry this there? You know, the optics sometimes. But a gun, you remember Benjilo?
Yeah, Benjilo. Yes.
You remember Benjilo?
I remember Benjilo.
Sometimes, especially, you see, the way we are, it's best not to even
carry
such things, because in a moment of
and that music
madness.
What is it?
Stonebwoy. You remember Stonebwoy when
apart from Stonebwoy, the one who was G-Man.
Yeah, Benjilo and G-Man.
G-Man, the two
around
of them.
the same.
Yeah.
So
this is what I think.
It's tricky.
I think because you were talking about the law doesn't care who you are in other places like America and the references you made. I think their democracy, or the kind of democracy they practice, is far advanced than what we are doing.
Yes,
and so it takes the screaming, it takes us talking about it, it takes exposing all these malpractices to actually refine what, it is not ours. We borrowed this thing called democracy.
But here's where...
I think that, you know, through this, in about 50 years to come, we won't be experienced.
Unfortunately, we don't have 50 years. You see, that's the problem.
But
we don't have 50
our
years.
work starts now.
We can't continue. If we continue with this nonsense, in 50 years' time, probably Ghana may cease to exist. Right. God forbid. But I'm being very fair. You see, you don't reinvent the wheel. Our democracy doesn't make sense. We do too many things that are, I'm sorry, nonsense throughout this Fourth Republic. Okay? And intentionally, the politicians who know better, some of these politicians are Ivy League trained, Oxbridge trained, Oxford and Cambridge. They know, they've been out there, they travel, they know exactly what applies. Why don't they, when they travel to Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, some of the nonsense they do there, why here? Why don't they do it there? You can't do it there.
Yeah.
There are some, Malaysia, Singapore, there are things they do here. You dare not do it there. So when you go and you see, I can't say you see certain things, and then you know that this thing is good. You come and you know how to apply. It may not happen overnight, but here we are not even seeing the application. You have a Cecilia Dapa issue, and someone who has been touted as a lawyer for human rights and the rest, rights, and I'm sure your integrity will. From the top, at that moment, right from there, people say that is when the case was over.
Yeah.
So I don't get it. It's not about, it doesn't take so much. There are things we can do,
but you see,
but we are not doing it.
I mean, specifically to this lady,
not doing them.
Who gave her the gun? And when they were giving her the gun, what did she tell them she was going to use the gun for? Somebody licensed it for her. When you go abroad and you are giving guns, there are some guns for hunting.
True.
Do you get me?
True.
I mean, seriously, not for protection because the police is there. But there are some guns for hunting, guns for so many things. They have some games that they do and they use these guns. So when she was giving the gun, guns are not sold on the market.
No.
There's a specific place where guns are sold.
And you see, this was not an illegitimate
gun. Yes,
it was a legitimate. So if it were illegitimate, her case would be
different.
You know, ab initio.
That one nobody can talk about.
She legally registered it.
Yes.
The firearm has not been discharged.
It has not been discharged, so why are you taking it? They should make sure they don't discourage women Because we need women in the fray.
Anyway, we have to go. I just want to do some headlines, and then I'll leave you with one story, something we've discussed already.
Okay.
Daily Graphics, SNIT contributors gain automatic NHIS migration. Dr. Dacosta Abuaji spoke about it here in our interaction. Nation records first Wilson's disease at Kolebu Teaching Hospital, page 13.
Which one is that?
Historic, I'll get into that briefly. Historic royal visit, Ga Mantse, Ashanti deepened bond. We've spoken a lot about it this morning, even in the news. So I'll just skip that, and it's a good thing. The Ashanti donating some 500,000 Ghana cedis. Was it an educational fund or something of the sort?
The Greater Accra Educational Trust Fund.
But on what you were asking, the Child Health Department of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital has recorded a rare case of Wilson's disease in a 13-year-old boy. The condition, believed to be the first in the country, is said to affect 1 out of 30,000 population in developed countries. The boy was diagnosed with a fatal genetic disease after his mother, a trader, detected his deteriorating handwriting. Now, the head neurodevelopmental clinic, Department of Child Health, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Professor Ebenezer Bedu, who made the diagnosis after several tests, however, said the disease was treatable. He said the young boy could live a normal life through medication, but was concerned about the cost involved, saying the patient needed 450 Ghana cedis every month to stay alive. In other words, someone like this, and this is where sometimes big corp in Ghana and others, can you pay maybe for 10 years for this boy or something? 450 cedis. It reminds me of those on dialysis.
Yeah. But theirs is more expensive. Theirs is a week or
But you see, this person, the mother is a what? A trader. A trader.
Okay? This is what the NHI is.
450 cedis. Thankfully, it's just one case that we know of now.
But it's a genetic thing, so it's not something that is viral.
I guess it's one of those neuro issues. But just in a minute, we have to go, Nanaya.
Yes.
It is official, the Daily Searchlight. Soldiers ordered to arrest, not to arrest for Galamsey, beat them if they stop you. The MPP parliamentary candidate.
Soldiers not to what?
You remember the Amenfi East MPP parliamentary candidate saying that, if soldiers attack, beat them up and all of that. For me, I will keep saying this. It's only in Ghana that someone like this will still go through and contest the elections. 30 seconds, final thoughts, and we're done.
I don't even know what to say. Seriously, what is going on in this country? I mean, some of these people, they just talk.
And we have the instance of Major Mahama.
Who is?
Do you realize it?
Yeah.
That is how bad it is. We have the example of Major Mahama.
They are not talking about, I've heard that in the Galamsey areas, the children they are giving birth to are losing their limbs. Even dogs, you have strange, when dogs give birth, they give birth to puppies with 2 heads and all manner of strange things. Deformities, because of the Galamsey.
Yeah.
And nobody is saying anything about it. Now,
and as Frimpong says, if soldiers can beat them up.
Beat them up.
Yeah.
Because that is where they are making their money.
Hooray for the fight against Galamsey. Anyway, we're going to have to end it here. Nanaya, that's a bit brave.
Ghana, no, you see, I've said it to Ghana, we should vote against them. We should vote against these people. No, sure, because if we leave, today the Uber driver I came with, because my driver was late. The Uber driver I came with, he said, Madam, if we leave this country for these people, dear, we are selling our children into slavery.
Oh.
Of course we are. Are we not selling our children into slavery? Mm-hmm. We are selling our children into slavery, posterity. Because the way these people are managing this country, you see, when I am talking like this, they insult me, but I don't care because I say it against the backdrop or the background of the kind of promises they made to us. And they have reneged on all the promises. When you talk, they say...
Time will be the judge of all of this. Nanaya Achepim Jantua is a former PRO of the PURC. Of course, I did this together with Sweetie Abochi, Red Riding Hood, for this morning.